about me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Hi everyone, welcome to another tutorial. Today we'll be going through the steps of making a cat hat using granny squares. I'll first show you the steps of making a single square. We'll need a total of 8. Then I'll show you how to join them all together. So the materials we'll need today are a 5mm crochet hook, scissors, a tapestry needle, and whatever color choices of yarn you desire to use, and you may possibly need a measuring tape. That part is optional. So to begin, we'll make a magic circle, then we'll chain 3, and this chain 3 will count as a double crochet. Then after you do the chain 3, now we'll place 2 more double crochets here into the ring. So that's 1, 2. This is the third one. Then we will chain 2. So that's 1, 2, 3 double crochets. Then we'll chain 2. So this is 1, 2. Then we place another set of 3 double crochets into the magic circle. Okay, then we'll chain 2 and place another set of 3 double crochets. We'll have a total of 12 in this ring. So it will be clusters of 3 double crochets separated by chain 2s. And once we're done, we will slip stitch into the top of the beginning chain 3. But we'll have to make sure you do a chain 2 before you slip stitch into the top of the chain 3. And we can pull on the tail as tight as you can to close the ring. And depending on how you decide to do the color combinations, you can change color here, or you can follow what I'm doing. I'll be changing the colors in row 2. So now once you slip stitch into the top of that chain 3, we're going to slip stitch across the other 2 double crochets into the chain 2 space. Then we'll chain 3, so that's 1, 2, and 3. Yes, 3. And then we place 2 double crochets, 2 additional double crochets into the chain 2 space. Then we chain 2 and place an additional set of 3 double crochets. This is how we'll be creating our corners for the granny square. And once we're done here, we'll be chaining 2 and repeating the same thing in each chain 2 spaces around by placing 3 double crochets, chain 2, then another set of 3 double crochets into the chain 2 space to form the corners. So keep repeating this, and I will meet you at the end of this round. Okay, so once we're done with this round, chain 2 and slip stitch into the top of that chain 3 space, and we'll fasten off as we'll be changing colors here. So you're gonna do a slip stitch and then cut the tail. That's how we fasten off. So now I'm grabbing a new color and I'll be starting in the corner. There are different ways to attach a new thread of yarn to a project piece. This is the way I'm doing it. So we'll just chain 3 here and continue the same pattern of putting 2 clusters of 3 double crochets in each corner of the square. So this is the first 3, chain 2, or chain 1, sorry, and then we place another set of 3 double crochets. Then we'll chain 2, and here in this next chain 2 space, we'll place only 1 cluster of 3 double crochets. So that's 1 double crochet, 2 and 3 here. Then we'll chain 2 and place 2 clusters into the corner. So no matter what size you'll be doing, you'll prefer your square to be, or how many rounds, you'll only have 4 corners. There's only 4 corners of a square. So the pattern for the square is that 2 clusters of 3 in each corner, and whatever number of 2 chain spaces are there between each corner, you'll just put 1 cluster of 3 double crochets. So that's the pattern around, and I will meet you at the end. I'll be doing a total of, I believe, 4 rounds. So that's 2 of the yellow and 2 green, and I'll come back to show you how we'll be doing the border. Okay, so this is the finished portion of the color changing of this portion of the square. It comes to about 5 inches without the border, and for the border it's gonna be, I'll be using the main color of the hat. For this hat it's the color black, the yarn will be black. And for here you can either do half double crochets or double crochets. If you want a more snug fit on the head, then it's recommended that you use the double crochet. But if you want it to be the same size as what I'm using here, I'm gonna be doing full double crochets. So it's just the same thing as we were doing for the other rounds. We'll be doing the 2 clusters of 3s into the corners and filling out the other 2 chain spaces with only 1 cluster of 3 double crochet. And we will do that until the end, where you'll slip stitch into the beginning chain 3, and that will be 1 granny square. And I don't know why I found that funny. And then you repeat this for another 7 times, so you'll need 8 squares in total. So remember, in each individual 2 chain spaces you put 3 double crochets or 3 half double crochets. Then into the corners it's the 2 clusters of 3 double crochets. And so this is how an individual completed square looks with the border. Up next is joining the squares together. So to join them, you'll need them to be right side up. So the right side should be facing you. So we'll grab the main color yarn here, and we'll take 2 individual squares and we sandwich them together, ensuring that each space aligns with the other. And so we'll begin at the top of it, or the corner, by doing a single crochet along the sides of both of them. So we'll begin by securing the yarn onto the squares, and we'll chain 1 to begin the single crochets along both squares. So you should have 1 single crochet in that first space there, and then 1 along each of the stitches. However, for the 2 chain spaces along the sides here, you should have 2 single crochets in each space. The video here has an error, but 1 single crochet in each aligning stitches, and in the spaces 2 single crochets. And so that's what you'll be doing for both of these squares. And for the other two, now when we're joining the other 2 squares to these that we have here sandwich, you're going to place 2 single crochets in the final space of the first 2, and ensure that the next 2 are right side facing. Ensure that everything aligns. Then you'll just continue by placing 2 single crochets into that corner there of the the next 2 pairs here, and you finish by doing a single crochet in each stitch, 2 single crochets into the 2 chain spaces. And when you're at the end of this, you will chain 1 and fasten off, cut a tail and fasten off, and I will meet you there. Okay, so now we're at the end of this section. This is what it's supposed to be looking like, with the joining down of the 4 squares. So now we're going to be doing the horizontal section, and it's the same procedure. We would align all the stitches and spaces together. We'll begin in the corner by doing the single crochets into the spaces and on top of the stitches. And when we're at the middle section, I will I think I'll come back and just show you a visual of what is to be done. We'll just single crochet over the ridge, but I'll come and show you what it's like. Okay, so here we are in the center of the 4 square section. So as I said earlier, we are just gonna single crochet over the vertical line of single crochets. Just go right over it into that chain 2 space, and you put in your 2 single crochets, and you proceed as mentioned before by going into the rest of the stitches with a single crochet and into the spaces with 2 single crochets. Now when you're doing the back section, it should be right side up as well, but ensure that they're on opposite sides. So if you're doing different colors, you want to ensure that the colors are aligning with, like it's a mirrored version and not like front facing. So that's just a pointer. And it's the same thing that you'll do by going into the starting at a corner, single crocheting. And so to put both sides together, you can either use a tapestry needle to maybe whip stitch or mattress stitch both front and back panels together, or you can use your hook to slip stitch them together, right side facing up. So you begin by inserting the hook into any space. I like starting at the corners, chaining 1, then you'll just slip stitch along the outer section, so into the spaces and into the stitches right around, except for the bottom. So you'll only be stitching along 3 sides, so two opposite sides and 1 on top, and you leave a side on stitch because that's where you insert your head. So that's all you have to do. And so this is a finished product, but it's not the same size as the tutorial. And this is a better true to size representation of what your product should look like, well, depending on your choice of color arrangements. And so this is the end of the tutorial, And I hope this was very informative and you were able to complete your own granny square cat hat. Till next time, bye bye.